Hello, everyone. I have the pleasure of introducing our Metro partners. First, I'd like to introduce Open Door Theater, which has been making accessible theater on both sides of the curtain since 1980. Open Door Theater leads the way in producing fully accessible theater experiences with a diverse cast and crew. And so I'd like to welcome Sam Gould, the president and executive producer at Open Door Theater, to share the outcomes of their amazing community bridging grant.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this is just the down button.
The down button, got it. Okay. So in spaces like this, I like to visually identify myself because I have trouble seeing from the back of the room. So I'm Sam Gould. I'm an Ashkenazi Jewish woman with salt and pepper hair pulled into a top knot, and I'm twinning with my colleague Becca. We're both wearing our Wizard of Oz rainbow logo shirts. And since Becca, one of our actors, was good enough to come with me this morning, I'm going to pivot a little bit and not really go through all my slides and then talk to Becca a little bit so that you guys get a sense of what we do at Open Door. So, excuse me, we are a theater that's been around since 1980 with a mission of access and inclusion and integration. And in the photo you see there, a woman is dancing with her daughter, and that photo is 10 years old, and they came back again for our last production of Wizard of Oz. We're open to anybody 9 and up by audition. This one just gives you a snapshot. Our last show was Wizard of Oz, and we had 60 cast members, 70 of whom identify with disabilities, another 100 people backstage. 20-30% identify with disabilities, and we had 25% auditioners identifying as non-white. I'm going to skip the rest of it. Here's just some photos of our past shows. I just wanted to give you a flavor. In the top right photo over there, my right, your left, sorry, top left, is Hooverville from Annie, so people angrily shaking their fists. Top, my left, your right, is 2 gentlemen who are neurodiverse, and they're having a sword fight in Cinderella. In the middle, we have a robust and colorful group of pirates doing the Tarantella. The bottom, my right, your left, is a photo from The Wizard of Oz. That's our actor, Nick Giovinazzo. He's playing the coroner, and in fact, his mother's second cousin played the coroner in the original Wizard of Oz, so that was pretty cool. This is our cast photo from The Lightning Thief. We did an outdoor show in 2022 because of COVID. That was hot, huh, Becca? That was really hot. And then the SpongeBob musical is our colorful, diverse cast, and one service dog on stage singing the opening number. I just have an award page. I'm not going to go over them, but just to tell you, we're not just a youth social group. We are putting on award-winning theater. And what we do is we don't just invite people into our space. That's not what inclusion means to us. We build our performances to be disability-centered and include the input of our cast and crew every year to increase our access. All of our shows are interpreted in American Sign Language. This past year, we had a deaf actor playing the wizard. I'll show you photos of that in a second. We have all of our performances with a director of artistic sign language, and this year we had a 4 interpreter team because it was Wizard of Oz. We needed Dorothy and 3 friends. All of our performances are open captioned, so we project the dialogue onto the proscenium walls so that everybody can follow along, and we illustrate them to match the set. And then all of our performances have audio description for some of the performances. And this year we had a record number of deaf-blind participants, and we had some tactile tours. I'll show you a photo of that in a sec. And all of our performances are sensory-friendly. We do a relaxed format for all of our performances. So the best thing we can do for that is just welcoming a neurodiverse crew into our space and allowing people to get up and walk around, and we have a live feed of the show. But we do a pre-show and that we take that into account. And then the training. We train our cast and crew in best practices. So I'll tell you about that in just a sec. These photos, we have the cat and hat. As you can see in the top left photo, with our caption screen, and then next to that is the woman who was ASL signing for Dorothy in front of the caption screen for Wizard of Oz. Below her is the actor that was playing the wizard, that's Leandra Fitta, and below him is our audio describer for the show that was laying down the pre-show audio description track, and then the bottom picture there on the left is our tactile pre-show tour, where we're going over some set design with some audience members. This particular audience member actually flew in from North Carolina because she knew we were doing an accessible show for her. Above that, on the right side of the screen, we have the two deaf actors in Cinderella who are acting out their parts in the ball with their voices, the voice actors on either side of them. That top corner right picture, it's kind of a small picture, but that was our lineup for our audio / ASL / sensory pre-show. So we describe the actors, go over them in costume but out of character so that the audience can get used to what's going to happen. Below them is SpongeBob. This was a deaf actor, and all of her acolytes in that show learned ASL, so they would sign to her in the scene. And then next to them is our Wizard of Oz 4-person team. We do mentorship for our ASL team, so this is a couple new ASL interpreters of color who we're mentoring on the stage there. And then below that is what we call handimations. Our wizard was deaf, so we had ASL hand animation so that when he's booming, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, like green lightning is shooting out of his fingers. It was very cool. It was very cool. And then below that is, we did Seussical, and there's an actor playing JoJo who's deaf, and he's signing the role while the actor next to him is singing the role. Just to hit for a second, what we do is we train our cast and crew. So originally we had outsourced that to the Autism Alliance for Metro West back in 2013. But we found that that was disenfranchising for our actors on the spectrum and our participants on the spectrum. So we now build our own, and we do it as a group to run our own cast and crew training, and then we train all of our volunteers. So the cast and crew training is kind of on best practices and access. It's also kind of on disability justice. It's kind of on speak your own truth, and it's a really empowering day. That's my favorite rehearsal that we have every year. We also teach our cast some basic ASL and deaf culture because we have deaf actors in our performances. And then when we couldn't find an ASL class, we had to start a quarterly ASL class because our actors wanted to learn more ASL to communicate with each other. Essential considerations when you're building a program like this: cultural competency. You want to make sure that your access is matching the tone of the piece. You want to always center disabled stakeholders. You always want to build from the ground up. You don't want to start, to try and retrofit your access. And our budget is about 25% allocated to access, so that's a priority for us. And then our facilities rental is another 25%, so it's equal to our space costs. And then personnel, making sure that we're working with qualified service providers and using best practices. And we consume a lot of accessible art as a community. We publish each other's materials, and everybody goes to see the other stuff that's going around. And we train on this in the community as well. Don't think that accessibility is a one and done. You have to take it one step at a time. You have to not be afraid to make mistakes, and you have to have it be a board buy-in and a community buy-in and a cultural, way of life. For us, it's a life choice. And ADA compliance is really base minimum. I'm going to go over these things really quick because I want to talk to Becca. This is our photos from Wizard of Oz. So that's our huge cast, one of whom is poking through the top of the gate, the gateman, and then I want to say Pathways to Friendship. Not only are you guys really great about the funding and the bringing us all together and the building a bridge for the community, but you guys have the best logo out there. I just have to say, that is, in fact, the best logo with the rainbow tree. The picture below on the left is 3 gentlemen with Down syndrome and a mentor of theirs on the show in the screaming yellow jacket. In the middle are a bunch of munchkins. I think, Becca, you're in there, but it's too small for me to see where you're in there. Waving to them as they take off. And then the flowers, they were built by another art organization in the community, which was great. We outsourced some of our prop building to another group that has people with disabilities as making art together. And what, Art for All? Is that what it's called? Becca's in that group too, and Becca made some of the flowers. And then below them is a bunch of Open Door veterans who have been in our shows for years and years and years. And I especially love the rainbow suit that Steve Petter is wearing in that one. And then the two Amy's, they were buddies in the show, and so they made shirts for themselves, Amy 1 and Amy 2. And then the next photo is another group of some of our adults who have been with us forever. The woman in the green is on our board, and Evie actually started Open Door as a child and has since gone through some extreme diagnoses, and she initially started her program as a non-disabled person, and now she's identifies as a disabled adult as well. So those are our photos from Wizard of Oz. So what I wanted to ask Becca is, you want to come over to the mic? I wanted to ask you, Becca's a woman of few words but lots of dance moves, but I asked her if she would dance for you guys, and she said not unless you pay her. I'm teasing. So I want to ask Becca, how do you feel when you do an Open Door show?
Dancing.
Dancing is your favorite part of Open Door shows? Yeah. Becca's an awesome dancer. And what's the best part of an Open Door show?
Happy.
It makes you feel happy, yes. And have you made any friends doing Open Door? So Alan is another Open Door veteran. So Becca has been doing Open Door, I think, since Seussical, which was 2000, 5 years. And Alan is probably 1 year more than Becca. And so Alan and Becca do the shows together. And actually, Alan will be so excited to go to the prom next year, don't you think? Whenever we have a ball or a prom, Alan gets dressed up to the nines. He loves it. It's his favorite thing. So I think we'll have a good time doing the show next year. Is there anything else that you want to say about Open Door? No. Okay. And we're done.